so formal these meetings of the local government standing orders at 6 p.m. So I'll declare the meeting open. Welcome everyone, and welcome to some people in the public for coming to attend our thrilling agenda tonight. I'd like to start by just acknowledging the traditions of the Noongar people on whose land we gather today, and also just to let everyone know. To let everyone know that all attendees of this meeting will be live streamed and a recording of the meeting will be made. Item 2 on the agenda is a record of attendance, of which we have all councillors and staff in the room, with our mayor, I'm the mayor, our CEO, Virginia Milchup is away on leave, and we have Emma Fernandez in as acting CEO for that time frame. Item 3 is public question time, of which we've got a couple. I'll start with the one that I've been formally handed in, and that is by Matt Byrne of 35 Gawthorne Drive. Matt, would you like to come forward, mate?
Well, yeah, we might have been a little bit premature here, but we've obviously been working hard in the background, getting our men's shed group, Pilbara Communities men's shed group, up and operational. We were informed that we're part of the infrastructure plan going forward, and we're hopeful to get an update of where we're at. So where we believe we're at, we've done the consultancy work now. That's been submitted to the Shire. That was some really good work done there by Oka.
That's part of the business plan.
Business plan, the amount of space we need, how we want to go forward with the shed.
Yeah.
And now we are really quite in a bit of a holding pattern until we can get some land. Some of you might know that we've received a rather large grant from the government, but is contingent on obviously having the land and then being able to move forward with the physical shed. We're still doing everything in the background that we can. We've had great meetings with, and we've managed to raise a fair amount of money just in the background. So we've got to pay for ourselves, obviously, a lot of it. But yeah, just more of an update if we can around where we're at. Get land.
No problems, man. I'm glad to see that it's moving along, and just wait on us, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Acting CEO.
Yes.
I'll throw this one to you, or the Director of Development Services. An update on where we're at. Sits in both your space, I mentioned.
It does. So tonight we actually have the community infrastructure plan being put to council for consideration and adoption. Within that plan, it does cover up on the men's shed and its need for land. What that does then, it puts it into the mix and creates a priority for us to identify that land. If you've looked at the community infrastructure plan, you'll see that there's a lot of competing priorities, but the men's shed is seen as a priority we'll be looking at over the coming months through a land allocation study that will look at all the pieces and where it's going to be located. But we are hoping that it can be co-located with some of our other community infrastructure.
Yeah.
We will definitely continue conversations with you.
So we can confirm that it's part of the infrastructure plan.
Yes.
So it's not a matter of if, but when.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
It's obviously on the agenda tonight for council to deliberate over.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's Matt. Are there any other public questions?
Sorry.
Now, Quinn, you have to, when you come up, just state for the record, of course,
Yes.
you got to state your name and address.
Yeah. Sorry, it's my first time doing this, and
That's
bear
okay.
with me. I have anxiety. My name is Quinn Anderson, and I live at 23 Dougal Way. So I have the first question, which is in regards to motion 14.1, which is up for discussion tonight. Under next steps in that report, it states the city lists actions like finding out what materials are provided with the syringes and what disposal programs exist. With respect, I was able to source that information myself in just a couple of hours. Why is the city treating basic fact finding as progress? when these services have operated here for years? When will we see actual action instead of just reviews?
Is there any subsequent questions? Or?
No, I have two more questions.
Okay. Well, I guess we can start by answering you one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll throw you to you again, acting CEO. As you know, thank you. I just want to thank you, Quinn, as well, and all the people that sent me those emails and raising this as a community concern. Because even though we know these needles do exist in our society, some of us. Well, I didn't know that the rise of it, like now that it's the spike that's happened. So yeah, it's good. It's great that communities confident, comfortable enough to be able to come to us and sort of work together on some of these solutions. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that notice.
I actually will get the Director of Development Services to respond to that one.
Through the chair, it's one of a suite of proposed actions that we're looking at. The environmental health team's already started those discussions with the pharmacies and WACs, but we have competing priorities. So it's about looking at the problem as a broader picture and being able to put something back to council in the next month or two that has a holistically sort of formulated response for them to consider.
I don't know how this works.
That's okay.
Am I allowed to comment first? No.
It's the questions rather than
Okay.
Yeah.
My second question is, the city and the large local companies distribute significant grant funding each year. So it doesn't appear that funding is the barrier. When it comes to concerns of children's safety, why has the council not installed blue lights or CCTV in parks and non-hotspots for discarded needles?
Through the chair, that's one of the things that we need to work through. That's why we can't give a response very quickly to council. I must admit, I'm not overly familiar with this issue. I don't know what blue lights would do. So that's why the environmental health team needs to work with the other teams within the city to work through what the most appropriate actions would be.
And last question. Given the large number of residents calling for the needle and syringe program to move to an exchange model, does the city intend to use its authority to support this change? And if so, when will it commit to acting so that our children's safety is prioritised?
Again, through the chair, the intention is that we get a recommendation back to council to vote on in the next.
Yeah, I guess as well, Quinn, is that we've got to get ourselves organised as a organisation, speaking to those stakeholders like the police and WACs, and we've got our public health plan that we have. But then, as I said, I wasn't aware of the spike, even though I live here, I've got kids. So then, there's lots of people that weren't necessarily aware of it. And I haven't been part of the Kicks group, for example, for a little while because my kids have gotten older. But I know that's where a lot of the community lies, and that's where some of this information is coming forward. So I think with the notice of motion that's come forward and the city's response already with the CEO responding to your queries, I think we're working on these things, and obviously we need to make sure that whatever we do is going to line up with what WACS does as a health provider and the police, and so we're also unified in whatever the next approach is going to be. But I do note that we've put out more public comms today around needles in the public and informing the community of the right way at the moment to report that, and that's through our reported app. And we have seen a spike in reported app. People putting forward those. So I think one thing we can do right now is just keep increasing that communication to the people of Karratha to ensure that they know if they find areas, hotspots, or where there's used needles, that they can go onto that app, report it, and then we'll get our team. Our team will immediately respond to those issues, and in the broader sense, we'll work with our stakeholders to try and formulate a better approach to the used public needles within our city. So, thank you for your questions.
Thank you for listening.
We look forward to continue to work with you in the community to,
thank you.
have a better approach to this. Okay, is there any other public questions?
for Hunt Way. On the needle situation, is the city still using the VSU reporting?
VSU reporting?
Mm.
I'm not aware of that.
Through the chair, I'm assuming you mean the volatile substances.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Yes. I believe that relates to aerosol use in particular.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and the other stuff, well, you can still put the needles or any other, excuse me, drug that you use on it as well.
I understand that's a contract with the Department of Communities, so we can seek further information through our inquiries to understand where that program's at.
I only asked because I know the Rangers and some of the city council used to use it 6.5 years ago. So I'm not sure if it was still.
My understanding was a contract with the state that the state had, but we can find out if that still exists.
Yeah, I know it still exists, but with Port Hedland and Newman, I don't know if the Home Services has taken on.
I don't
through
believe so.
Karratha, but yeah, I know it's still active. The forms are still there on the Mental Health Commission, but I just wasn't sure if that's still a.
I'm familiar with it being in Newman and Port Hedland, but I'm not sure whether it was rolled out in Karratha. I also know there was a change in contract as well. So
yes,
we can find out more information.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shani. Oh, yes. Okay. So we've been asked as well, Quinn Renee, if you can just fill out this form so that we get your details so that if there's any further questions that we have as an administration, we know how to contact. Any other comment questions while we're running through this part of the agenda? No? Okay. Well, thank you for that. I hope answers were satisfactory. Next, we move on to item 4, which is petitions, deputations and presentations, of which we have none. 5 is requests for leave of absence, of which I'm unaware of anyone.
I'm away for 3 weeks, but I'm here for a briefing.
Next month, yeah, it'll be a very light council meeting next month because we'll be in caretaker mode. Anyone who's of interest in the public who wants to put their hand up and sit around this table, we have an information session on tomorrow night. I'll be there to guide you along and tell you how great it is. All right. If there's no request of leave of absence, we move to number 6, which is the declarations of interest, of which we have a few. We'll just run around the table. I'll start with Councillor Gillen. Can you please let us know what your declaration of interest is?
I have an indirect financial interest in item 10.6, which is the Wickham South Park Youth Recreation Area, as my husband works for Rio Tinto, who are a funding partner in this agreement.
Thank you. Councillor Furlong.
I have an indirect financial interest in 9.4 as I work casually for the PKUC and their tenants of the quarter. I have an indirect financial interest 10.2 and 10.6. 10.2 is the Karratha Bike Park and Wickham Bike Facility, as my husband works for Rio Tinto and they are a funding partner. And the same for 10.6, the Wickham South Park Youth Precinct, as Rio Tinto are the funding partner for that.
Councillor Watershamala.
I have an indirect financial interest in 9.4, the quarter investment, as I'm an employee of Pilbara University Centre, who is a tenant of the quarter, and also an impartiality interest in 10.5, Karratha Golf Course Driving Relocation Site Assessment and Design Report, as I'm a social member of the Golf Club.
Thank you. Councillor Roots.
Certainly. I have declared interest in item number 10.2, Karratha Bike Park and Wickham Bike Facility. Indirect financial is the nature of the interest, and that is because my husband is employed by funding stakeholder Rio Tinto, and that is the same for item 10.6, Wickham South Park Youth Recreation Area. My husband's employed by funding stakeholder Rio Tinto.
Councillor Roots and Councillor Nunn.
I have an indirect financial interest in 10.6, Wickham South Park Youth Recreation Area, as my husband works for Rio Tinto, and an indirect financial interest in 9.4, the quarter divestment, as my employer is a tenant of the port.
Thank you. And could we get some clarification, maybe from Director Corby itself, Warren, on this? Because I think I had to say that those indirect financials are impartial. Is it only 10.2? Just so I know who's going to have to leave the room. So is it just all those indirect financial on 10.6?
No, 10.2.
On 10.2.
10.2 we can stay in. Yes. And 10.6 we have to leave.
10.2, stay in the room. 10.6, out of the room. Okay, excellent. And then our CEO, Virginia Milchap, I'll let everyone know she has a declared interest in 9.4, which is the quarter divestment, as her partner is partner's employer is a tenant at the quarter, and the CEO has not been involved in any of the discussions around this item.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got one to add.
Okay, Councillor Jansen.
Declaration of interest in 10.1, the dog park. Financial interest and proximity interest. Reason being, one day I might decide to buy a dog, and I don't want certain members in the community to feel that I might benefit financially from having close access to this dog park.
That's your proximity.
And financial, because my property will gain in value from the improvements made nearby.
Okay.
Just want it on record so that somebody doesn't get upset.
Right, and if you want to declare that interest as proximity, and you're happy to do that, even though you might not need to, then it's your choice then to go out of the room for that item as well, because of proximity and financial obviously means you can't sit in the room for the decision. All right, so it's on 10.1. Okay. Any other declarations of interest?
Added impartiality for 10.2 for the same reason as 10.6.
Partiality, 10.2.
And myself too, please, Mr Mayor, for 10.2, but impartiality.
For the Wickham Bike Facility, as part of that. Partiality for Councillor Walsh Muller.
Which means I need to change mine.
Not 10.2 for me, no.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Gill, I'm sorry.
So my interest is impartial, not direct in financial.
10.2. Yeah. Okay. Keeping up with it. Any other declarations of interest? No? Right, moving on. Okay, 7 is the confirmation of minutes and business arising from minutes of the previous meeting. For the offer's recommendation on page 6, there's that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 20th of July 2025 be confirmed as true and correct records of proceedings. Can someone please move that motion? Councillor Gillan, someone second it. Councillor Simpson. Anyone against? No. That motion is carried. 8 is announcements by person presiding in that discussion, of which there is none. Now, before we go into the full agenda proper, I thought I might bring forward item 14.1, the notice of motion, as I know it's of interest to the public gallery. So if everyone's in agreement to that, we'll move straight forward into 14.1. Okay. That up on the screen for us, public. All right, 14 and 14.1 is a notice of motion for the public needle reporting program brought forward by Councillor Johansson with the council's recommendation that council endorse the establishment of a City of Karratha public needle reporting program to report, track and respond to reports of discarded needles and syringes at public place. 2, ensure the program captures essential data, including data collection. 3, provide quarterly public reports summarising trends, hotspot locations and removal response times. 4, promote the program to the community through the city communication channels and local networks. And 5, request the CEO explore opportunities for collaboration with WA Health, WA Police and local community groups. And in that agenda item, you'll see the administrative comments and down the bottom of that, what you see, as everyone's aware, you know, we've received communication from Quinn and others in the community. So we've been working on this in the background as well. And the city's happy to, where am I? Yeah. Sure, I read it. The city executive staff have said the council's recommendations 1 through to 5 will be investigated as part of this review, with a formal response to be presented at a future council meeting. So can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Johansson. Someone to second the motion? Councillor Roots. Is anyone against this motion? No. Councillor Johansson, would you like to speak for it?
I just want to make note that I do support this motion for the needle reporting program, but I want it to be clear more needed to be done. I wanted to go further with my motion and call on council to advocate directly to state government for stricter conditions on the program, but I held back. Reason why? Because the alternate motion that was proposed in December last year, the motion that prevents councillors from not lodging motions of notice regarding state and federal matters unless they are already listed within our strategic committee plan and advocacy priorities. That effect, that decision, was to gag councillors from being able to put forward motions that matter to our community. It created hesitation, not because the issues aren't urgent or important, not because the motion couldn't be rejected outright or being out of order. This is not how local democracy should work. Our community expects us to listen, to respond and to advocate, especially when state-run programs have real impacts here in Karratha. The discarded needles is an issue, is an abstract state policy. It is a real and present community safety problem affecting children and families in our parks and public spaces. The December alternate needs to be revoked. Councillors should never have been prevented from doing their job, advocating for the community or challenging higher levels of government when their policies fail our people. Let's restore the right of councillors to represent the voices of Karratha without being silenced. And I do add, I find it interesting that some people had no idea about the amount of needle issues in the community, considering it's not really a new thing. It's been going on for years. And if you were aware of the programs we currently operate and the rangers work that is being done and the fact that people do report these things, and if you follow any of the public online pages, you can see this is not new. But no.
Councillor Johansson. I guess when it comes to notice of motions, no one's gagging anyone. What we need to do is when those motions come, they need to go through the executive so they can have a response. It needs to come to council so that everyone can be part of the discussion and that we can understand what a notice of motion is trying to achieve. And then as a group, when it comes to a public OCM like this, we're all fully informed and we all know what someone's trying to achieve, and we can all work together to get the best outcome. So that would be that's how I'm running it, and that's how I'll continue to run it. Councillor Roots, do you have any?
I feel it's very important to commend our community members who are engaging in trying to make a difference. I would really like to say a personal thank you, especially to our people who've come here tonight. It takes a lot of bravery to stand up into a system that none of us are really familiar with until we see ourselves sitting at the table sometimes, particularly when we're very much grassroots people and don't understand much about government. And, it's one thing to complain on public forums, which, we like to have our hand out, but it's another thing to actually try to do something about it. So I'm very grateful for our community who are engaged and trying to do what they can to help make some change.
Thank you, Councillor Roots. Simpson,
thank you.
Do you want to speak for the motion?
Yes, I would like to speak for it. I think this is it's one of the things in our wider community. This afternoon, I just saw the motion. I did a bit of research through the Australian WA Country Health Services and found out there is a fit pack you can pick up. They're available right throughout the Pilbara, and a quick scroll down showed me that in a pack I can get 5 needles, or I can get a plus pack with 3 needles, 3 spoons, swabs and everything. So it's interesting that this is all designed to stop the spread of HIV and other disease as well, needles. But at the end of the day, I pick up on the last comment there, item number 5, requesting service for opportunities to collaborate. I think that's probably what we have to do as a wider thing. I think it's a community issue. Again, we've been left with the leftovers, got to pick it up. How are we going to do it? We'll get the recording in there. Very supportive of it, but it seems to me that we've got an issue in our society that how we do it as a community. But I think that item number 5 explores that more. Better work with the Department of Health. I think it needs to be how they're giving out, where they're giving out. They could give us some data of how much they have given out in our community, so we have a fair idea of what's happening. So that would be really good for us. At the same time, trying to protect our community from discarding needles in our community and working closely with the police to hopefully that we don't need to have kind of things in our community as a whole. But very supportive of the motion, Councillor Hanson. Appreciate you bringing this forward. I've seen some stuff around town, as you mentioned, on the social media. It's one of those things again, cost shifting back to local government to try and help out our wider community as we move forward. But we're happy to be part of it and roll our sleeves up and get into it and try to hopefully fix this for our community. Good. Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Right.
Sorry, my other addition to this too would be for administration to look back at the Safer Communities Group. I know we've raised that again, but that is actually bringing all of those stakeholders together. I know that's fallen off the wayside, but it has been raised to sort of see where that sits again. And a few things like this continue to be brought to this table. Whereas if that group was operating, maybe it would be sitting there and we'd see a little bit more action.
Yeah, with new people in town as well, particularly a new officer in charge at the police station. And as we know, in most of our government departments, we get new people coming through all the time. So I recognise that. I used to be on that stakeholder group, and it is good to get all those stakeholders together. Once every couple of months or when needed, when there's community, particularly safety issues. So thank you for that, Councillor Swaffer. If there's no one against that motion, then that motion has passed. So thank you all for that. We'll now move back to item 9 on the agenda, which is the corporate commercial reports. Those in the public, we're going to just run through the agenda as proper now. You're welcome to stay. However, if you've heard what you needed, you're welcome to leave as well. But the choice is yours entirely. For the public questions, just make sure you write down your details so we can get in contact with you. And thank you for attending. Do we have anyone here? Oh, yeah, we got some people in the room. The bike park decision. Yes. Would you like me to move that forward as well?
Mr. Mayor, can I move that we bring that item to the right, please?
And Councillor Simpson. Okay.
1, 2.
1 second. Okay, 10.2. Karratha Bike Park and Wickham Bike Park Facility.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment to this one, please.
Yes, let me get through the officer's recommendation, get on the table first, and then we can discuss amendments.
Yeah.
All right, so the officer's recommendation is that council receive the concept design report for the Karratha Bike Park and Wickham Bike Facility. 2, we endorse Richardson Way, 21 Richardson Way, as the preferred site for the Karratha Bike Park, and we endorse location option 1, 2 Mulga Way in Wickham, as the preferred site for the Wickham Bike Facility, and further progress concept development and cost refinement suitable for future design and construction tender. And 4, request the CEO to seek funding for the project implementation, including an application to the Community Sporting Recreation Facilities Fund, CSRFF, for a future funding round for the Karratha Bike Park. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Swaffer, someone to second it. Councillor Walsh-Muller. Councillor Gill.
Now, time. Okay, I would like to move an amendment to propose number 5, which would be to bring this item back to council in time for consideration for the 2025-2026 budget, please.
Noting that our budget setting will be in November for discussion. Did you capture all that?
So just adding to 4.
So
just adding to 4 or a separate point?
It's just adding.
I don't know. There's number 5.
So just to clarify, so it's.
Yeah, you're right. It's the 26-27 budget, but the intention is not to bring it back. I don't think there's enough time to bring it back in November this year. My intention was before the March strategy planning.
Right,
session.
okay.
So, I mean,
Good clarification.
yeah, I'm surprised I didn't get up and walk out.
So our next budget is November. So let me just, second.
And the intention is to keep it time bound so that we don't lose it in endless rounds of seeking funding, and that it can then come back to be considered for the next budget.
Yeah, it's good governance to have time frames on things so council gets an update on where things are at. So is that reading correct, Councillor Gillam? Oh, yeah.
It's 26-27. I was a year out.
That's like you said 25, 26.
I know. Just want to get through making it up on the fly.
Okay. So Councillor Gillam has placed an amendment. So the new motion reads as read 1 to 4 with the addition of number 5. Request the CEO bring this item to council for consideration. Time for the 26-27 annual budget prior to the March strategy sessions. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Gillam, someone to second it. Councillor Swaffer. Is there anyone against this amended motion? No. Councillor Gillam, anything further to add to your reasoning?
No, I come from a project management background and time bound is essential.
Thing. Clarification from the CEO is it coming back to a council meeting and OCM like tonight, or is the administration bringing it to the March budget meeting?
Can we receive a report prior to the March strategy session that would inform that planning then? Does it need to come to council?
If no, it doesn't. If we have it lined up for the March strategy session, which takes in the budget priorities,
yeah,
then that should be enough to bring something to us as a group. Yes.
Roger, take that time.
For the chair, just clarifying through what format and what form that you wish it to be brought back, but I think the Kate's just made the amendment that I was about to suggest, which is you don't need to have any reference to a March strategy session. You just want to be updated.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So the CEO brings this on council for consideration
In time for the
March 26-27 annual budget.
it doesn't need reference to a March strategy session.
Yeah. Time for the 26th.
We're supposed to consider it for next year.
Councillor Gillam, you happy with that?
I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
I just think it's great. I think the community's invested in this. It's going to be great. We spoke about it at the public briefing, and there's a lot of vested interest. And again, the way it came onto the table may not have been in our process-driven fashion, but it's been well and truly supported, and the community consultation that the administration has done has been great as well. And I'm excited to see this progress.
Agree. Rolling to our community infrastructure plan. Lots of big things on the agenda in the coming years. Good time to be part of the group. Right. If there's no one against that motion, then that motion has carried. Okay, now we're going back to 9. Yes.
Community infrastructure.
Pretty well community recourse.
We're getting there it's pretty close. All right, let's get this run through. So 9 is the corporate and commercial reports. 9.1 being the statements period ended 30th of June 2025. The officer's recommendation on page 7 is the council received the financial statements for that period ending 30th of June 2025 as shown in attachments 1 to 4. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Swaffer, someone to second it. Councillor Furlong, anyone against the motion? Councillor Swaffer, let's speak for it.
see the budget's tracking well, but also that our capital expenditures tracking closer to budget too, which means that we're progressing more of our projects. And I think, lots of people couldn't see that happening in the community with the Roadburn Streetscape project and the Kevin Richard Memorial overlighting and things like that. So it's great to see those projects progressing.
So, that's a bit of John. You think that?
No.
Right, that motion has carried. 9.2 is the list of payments from the 1st of June to the 30th of June 2025 with the officer's recommendation on page 16. That is, the council received the list of payments totaling $10.5 million as detailed in attachments 1, 2 and 3. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Simpson, seconded. Councillor Walsh-Muller. Anyone against the list of payments? No. Councillor Simpson, anything to add?
I think we're good.
Just fantastic to see a load. Pretty much our largest payments this financial period was all local businesses, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, we try to get it up. It's normally hovers between 60 and 70%, which I think is pretty high, considering. We get a lot of bids from outside of Karratha, but we keep the work local. So it's good for the town. All right. Well, that motion has passed. 9.3 is the investments for period ended 30th of June 2025. The officer's recommendation on page 19. And there's a council received the investment report for the financial period ending 30th of June 2025. Can someone move that motion? Councillor Nunn, seconded. Councillor Gillam. Anyone against anything within our investments for the period? No. Councillor Nunn, anything to add?
No comments from me, thank you.
No. That motion has passed. 9.4, the quarter divestment. We have a few people in the room. So better on Councillor Nunn, vacated the room at 6:37 PM. Nothing still. Okay, 9.4, the quarter divestment, with the officer's recommendation on page 27, and then as the council approved the development of a business plan to divest the quarter HQ investment property. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Gillam, someone to second it. Councillor Johansson. Anyone against this motion? No. Councillor Gillam, would you like to speak for the motion?
Sure. I'll try and do better at this one than the last one. Just for me to note that I think it demonstrates good fiscal management for us to create this business plan so we can understand whether it's a good opportunity to keep it or divest it. And I look forward to receiving it back. I'm very interested to see 8 years in where we sit compared to if it was intended to be a long-term investment, what it would look like in 15, 20, 30 years and receiving that data.
Thank you, Councillor Gillam. Councillor Johansson, anything to add?
Yeah, just like it was mentioned last week, that this doesn't mean we're selling the property, just so anyone in the audience is concerned. It doesn't mean we're selling, it's just getting the feedback on what it could be sold for and what it's worth. Through the process of looking into this, we had a workshop, and it was also, it was good to uncover that for the last 7 years, we've been paying for a car parking lease that's costing us about $34,000 a year. So it's good that this sort of brought up some, hidden costs that the ratepayers have been paying for that we haven't been getting any return on.
Yeah, and it was purchased in 2017 for $20 million off the state, which at the time was a great price, and it's given back to the community through keeping our rates down a bit. But now with a heavy community infrastructure plan and wanting to do more in the community facility space, and knowing that we can't fund it all by ourselves, we're going to need state and federal support, and we have investment properties like this. It's on us to make sure that is a business. And every business should have an exit strategy, or at least you should do your work to understand where it's at as a business and what it looks like if you sold it or if you kept it, and then make the best decision, with the community in mind, bearing the fact that, we've got a lot to get on with and there's a lot of infrastructure needs and community needs in this town as we continue to grow pretty rapidly. All right, so there's no one against that motion. That motion is carried. Was passed. Okay. 10 is that right? Yeah, 10.1 is community experience report. 10.1 is the off-lead dog exercise area review and concept plan. Councillor Johansson, you declare the proximity and financial. Step out of the room at 6:40 p.m. Okay, the officer's recommendation is on page 2, and that is that council will receive the findings of the investigation into suitable sites for a fenced off-lead dog exercise area. Say that fast. As set out in the review of dog exercise areas in the city of Karratha. 2, endorse the Richardson Way Park sites, noting that's where the bike park is as well, as the preferred location for the installation of a new fenced off-lead dog exercise area. And 3, support the preparation of a concept design and opinion of probable costs for the proposed new fenced dog exercise area to be delivered as part of the broader master planning process for the whole of the Richardson Way Park site. And this is within the 25-26 financial year. And 4, note that additional study recommendations to enhance existing dog exercise areas in the city will be actioned through integration into relevant operational programs. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Wilson-Muller, someone second it. Councillor Roots. Anyone against the motion? Councillor Wilson-Muller.
It's just, I just support this motion. Obviously, we've had a lot of interest from the community about having somewhere safe to exercise their dogs, and it's the places that we already have as off-dog leash exercise areas are already well used within our community. And we just note that it is the KUC Oval, not the Bulgara Oval now. Everyone's listening online. Yes, but I think it's great to be safer for the users of people with dogs, and obviously other people that are using those areas. I think it's great to have a fenced-in area where the dogs can be safe, and obviously not having the kids mixed with the people on the ovals that we currently get, which can be when it's off leash and young kids are around. So I think it's a positive move forward, and I think the location would be great if the bike park was got off the ground, and we had the obviously the dog park area as well would be a great location for both those 2 things.
So activated.
Yeah.
Councillor Roots, anything further to add?
A commendation on the other side. I'd like to thank administration for a really comprehensive look into this. It's definitely been something that has been heard loud and clear from many parts of the community, and I think much like the bike park, it satisfies a need of a really particular part of our community, a large part of our community that are calling for this, and it's really needed. So thank you for the work that's been put in thus far, and I'm looking to seeing it come to fruition.
Thank you, Councillor Roots. It's a bit of maturity, isn't it, in the town? You know, there's people when you get in Perth and they run along the coastline, they all meet up and have a coffee and have a chat. Get a coffee, put a little coffee hut at the bike park and the dog park area. It'll be the go-to place in town for social outcomes. Go to a coffee, watch your dog. Buddy.
There's already so much connection. Even without coffee, there's so much connection. It's great.
Okay, there's no one against that motion. That motion has passed. Councillor Johansson, that motion passed. Done. We've dealt with 10.2. The 10.3, which informs the decision 10.2. Right, the Richardson Way Site Master Plan. The officer's recommendation is on page 55. And as the council approved the development of a master plan for the Richardson Way site to guide the potential location of community-based infrastructure and development. This is obviously an important part to make sure that that land is available for the said purposes in 10.2 and 10.1. Can I someone move that motion? Councillor Furlong, seconded. Councillor Gillan. Anyone against the motion? Councillor Furlong, would you like to speak for it?
I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's not often in local government you get a blank piece of land that you can build and, you know, develop it, certainly so close to the CBD. And rather than having piecemeal pieces of planning, it's good to look at the whole space as a whole and get the best use out of it. Just a great opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor Dillon. Councillor Dillon, anything further to add?
No, thank you.
Right, well, that motion has passed. 10.4, which is the really overarching document that's going to make all of this happen and give direction to the administration to get on with the job. Right, which is the approval to endorse the community infrastructure plan for 2025-2035, which I'd really like to start by thanking the executive staff and all staff from the city who have been involved in this, because this took a lot of heavy work. There's a lot of community engagement. We were on the streets, in the library, we were at the fairs, and we had our staff everywhere asking community for their input into our infrastructure plan, because this will be our 10-year document or 10-year plan that delivers the community infrastructure, sets a pathway of projects that we can just start getting on with. So thank you to all for that work that was done, because it now sets us up for a great lot of infrastructure needs, and now we've got the staff now can prioritise it, and then we can go look for that state government funding, the federal government funding, the buckets of money that can help us deliver all this stuff. All right, so the officer's recommendation is on page 60, and that is that council endorse the City of Karratha's community infrastructure plan for 2025 to 2035 as attached. Can I have someone move this item? Councillor Wilson-Muller, seconded by Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against the motion? No. Councillor Wilson-Muller, I didn't take all the words out of your mouth.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, obviously, thank everyone, everyone in the city that was involved with this. It was a huge piece of work, but also the community. So thank you so much for being part of this. And it's so good to hear from our community and what their needs and wants are. But in regards to us, obviously, we're going to plan this out with what's the best use of land, because there's so much stuff that we want in our community, but making sure we've got the land in the correct places. So that's the big part we have to still work through. But I also think it's very good that we've been very inclusive, and it's the importance of, we looked at sports, we looked at community space, the arts, culture, even the evacuation centre that we need in the east. It's so important that we're inclusive for all in our community, from all different ages, for anyone with disabilities. And I think that now we can finally move on and plan for the future growth of our city, and make sure we're trying to get as much value out of the land that we've got, and looking forward for the next 10 years and putting it into our budget.
Councillor Swaffer, anything further to add?
I'll just echo Councillor Waterstrom-Miller's overview, but also excited to see a lot of these priorities in the short-term column. So great to see that we're going to have a lot of development in the next 5 years.
I think I see basketball in there, is it?
I like sport in general, and arts and culture and community.
Yeah, excellent.
Activation.
All right, well, if there's no one against this motion, that motion has passed. Okay, 10.5. 10.5 is the Karratha Golf Course Driving Range Relocation Assessment and Design, with the officer's recommendation on page 70. And there's a council endorse option 1 in the site assessment and option study for the driving range relocation as the preferred future location of the Karratha driving range, and supports progression of the concept design. And 2, to note that option 1 represents a variation to the driving range location in the endorsed Searipple Land Precinct Master Plan, which will now be considered in the review of the master plan for the future of the Karratha Country Club. And 3, by absolute majority, the additional unbudgeted allocation of $170,000 in the 25-26 financial year to progress short-term remediation works and undertake the necessary surveys to inform the concept design for the proposed driving range relocation as follows. So the Karratha Golf Club Course and Bowling Club, the proposed budget is $109,000, and the Karratha Golf Course driving range relocation, the proposed short-term budget is $83,000. With, I don't know if we can go down to the public gallery to show them where the proposed site is. Can I have someone move that motion, please? Councillor Simpson, seconded. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against this motion?
I'll move an amendment, please.
Ah.
Or actually, it's probably a question.
Okay.
Similar to the previous item where there was no time frame, I am concerned that the review of the CRIP plan will just sit in limbo. Can we put a time frame on that future review?
CEO, you may have referred to the Director of Projects, Strategic Infrastructure. Is this suitable for something similar where we just get an update?
So through the chair, it wouldn't be my directorate that'd be leading a land planning exercise.
Sorry. This is before we build stuff, hey?
Through the chair, council's familiar with us having indicated a preference for a tourist park site. I would suggest we get further along with that work before we determine when the City Master Plan is reviewed, because I think that work will lead where that review goes.
Happy to proceed.
Happy? Okay, so it has been moved. Councillor Simpson, seconded Councillor Swaffer. Is there anyone against this motion? No? Motion is passed. Councillor Simpson, anything?
I think this is a next step for our golf club. We've been on this journey for a number of years, grass greens, and now as the current driving range does go onto the road, so the ambition of people getting further and cause damage. So an upgrade to that would certainly complement that suite of other stuff we have with our golf club amenities. So yeah, great project to put together.
Councillor Swaffer?
Nothing further.
No, I guess to add as well that the Karratha Country Club itself also endorses the new location of the driving range as they will be the major users of it. Okay, that motion is passed. 10.6 is the Wickham South Park Youth Recreation Area, of which we have a few declarations of interest. Councillor Furlong, Councillor Nunn, Councillor Gillam and Councillor Rupert have left the room at 6:52 p.m. It is enough to list of the quorums, that's good. Okay, the officer's recommendation of this one is on page 78. That is the council endorsed the proposed concept design for Wickham South Park Youth Recreation Area as an attachment 1. And 2, note the indicative project cost on the concept design is 1.4 million. That has increased to include 600,000 for the construction of a public toilet amenity and shade structure at the Wickham South Park. And 3, agrees to progress the Wickham South Park Youth Recreation Area detailed design based on the endorsed concept design. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Johansson, someone to second it? Councillor Simpson. Anyone against this motion? No. Councillor Johansson, would you like to speak for the motion?
Yeah, I would. Sitting on the Wickham Stakeholders Board and attending the meetings out there, you always hear them complaining that they feel like they're the poor cousin to Karratha and we get all the facilities and services. So it's good to see that we're actually going ahead with this and the other things that are in the pipeline for Wickham. I think the community will really benefit and enjoy it.
Thank you, Councillor Johansson. Councillor Simpson, anything to add? No, you're right. I do feel like that out there, but we're getting on with a few things. Yeah, hopefully some people on the communities team and Rio Tinto coming forward. They might be able to work on getting their finances lined up for faster funding for these projects. Right, there's no one against that motion. That motion has passed. That motion passed, councillors.
Very festive.
Sure you are. Someone I think as well will say South Park.
In my head was going.
Yeah.
All right. 11 is the development services reports. 11.1. New local planning policy DP26 requirements for local planning scheme amendments, with the officer's recommendation on page 86, and that is council pursuant to Schedule 2, Part 2, Clause 4 of the Planning and Development Regulations, resolves to 1, prepare a draft local planning policy, which is DP26, requirements for local planning scheme amendments as attached for the purpose of public advertising, and 2, accept that the draft local planning policy requirements for local planning scheme amendments must be advertised and presented back to council following advertising, along with any submissions for final consideration. Someone move this motion? Councillor Swaffer, someone second it? Councillor Waterstone-Muller. Anyone against this motion? Councillor Swaffer, anything to add?
It was just great to have the update from administration to further delve into some of these things, so it's easy for us to understand. So thank you for that, and hopefully it will allow, you know, a better system so that it can fast track and process these items.
I just think, yeah, it's great that we're constantly working through good governance and obviously clearing information that is required by people if we're going to put in a planning development. As we know, we're trying to push housing in the area and we need to make it easier for people to understand. So I think going through and having the feedback from the community with any submissions and making final consideration.
Councillor Waterstone-Muller. So there's no one against that motion. That motion has passed. 11.2 is the development application for proposed use not listed for a renewable energy facility and solar farm, including ancillary infrastructure at Lot 51 Northwest Coastal Highway, which is the Fortescue Roadhouse site in Mardi. The officer's recommendation is on page 90, which is that council determined by absolute majority that the development application for a use not listed is consistent with the objectives and purposes of the zone and the precinct objectives, and 2, approve the development application for the solar farm at 51 Northwest Coastal Highway with the following conditions. That is that all development and use of the development site must be carried out in accordance with the approved plans, and all information submitted as part of this application. These details should not be altered without prior written consent from the city. This approval does not relate to any other development on this lot. And 2, if the development subject site for approval is substantially commenced, if it's not within a period of 2 years after the date of determination, the approval will no further effect. And then there's some advice notes there requiring a building permit about condition 2 when approval has lapsed. Responsibility of the application owner to ensure that the building setbacks correspond with legal description of land, and it's the responsibility of the applicant owners to search the title of the property to ascertain the presence of any easements or restrictive covenants that may apply. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Furlong, seconded Councillor Roots. Anyone against the proposed solar farm at Fortescue Roadhouse? Councillor Furlong, would you like to speak for it?
Well, I just think it's a sign of the times, really, isn't it? I think we'll probably see a lot more of these in the next coming years of proposed use not listed renewables.
Yes. It's not a scheme, it's not listed. Councillor Roots, anything to add?
Just with our both of our involvement in our environmental sustainability advisory group, we know that although not perfect, it is brilliant to see people moving towards renewables, and that's something that I will always support.
Let's hope that the energy can be passed on to their service stations once the lease on it opens it up again. Because when you go down the Fortescue River camping, you think you've got enough fuel, you think, oh, geez, be handy if that roadhouse is open. I think. Or you might need ice or whatever. Okay, if there's no one against that motion, that motion has passed. Okay, moving on to 12, which is the projects and infrastructure reports. 12.1 being the 7 Mile waste facility construction of new landfill cells. This is a request to call for tender. The office recommendation on page 95, and that is the council agreed to invite tenders for the construction of landfill cells 3 and 4 at the 7 Mile waste facility based on the scope of works, and 2, provide the local public notice and advise the CEO of the Department of Local Government of the city's intention to conduct a tender for the construction of landfills 3 and 4 at the 7 Mile Waste Facility. The reason when we're advising the CEO of the Department of Government is that this will likely be occurring during the local government election caretaker period. Can I have someone move this motion? Mr. Simpson, seconded. Mr. Roots. Anyone against the motion? Councillor Simpson, don't speak for.
Absolutely.
Landfill.
Landfill rubbish. It's one of those things needed. It's interesting to see and having a discussion last week around the life of this next 2 cells as we move forward to keep that ticking along. But yeah, our waste facility does us well in terms of making us money. So it's really good to see. We want to have little gems assets out there that does really well. So it's great to see, and looking forward to see how the tenders come in. Bit of concern around the moment with our tender process and what we get back. So fingers crossed we get a reasonable price tender back and we can get on with the job. Get the second one to do it. Or 3 and 4, I should say.
Thank you, Councillor Roots.
Just that, I'm aware that our earlier cells have, come closer to reaching their end of life much sooner than we anticipated. And I appreciate our exemplary management.
Roots, we're getting some feedback that you might need to speak a bit
loud.
Apologies.
Our first cells have neared end of life much sooner than we first anticipated. So exemplary management on behalf of administration being very proactive in this. I hope that we get lots of response and perhaps even some innovation. And I hope that these don't fill as quickly.
I can't believe I've been at this table this long. Cell 2 was here, capping is cell 1, now 3 and 4. Well, our colleagues feel long, but this is 8. I reckon we're going to be here when that tip closes and we move to a new one. Right, if there's no one against that motion has carried. Okay, then moving on to 13, which is the Chief Executive Officer reports. 13.1 is the items from information only. The officer's recommendation on page 100, which takes in all the information items, including community experience update, the concessions on fees and city facilities, an update on the disability access and inclusion plan, youth advisory group update, development services update, and a record of our tender outcomes under delegation, and the public briefing notice. Can I have someone move the items for information only? Councillor Nunn, seconded. Councillor Furlong, anyone against? Councillor Nunn, anything?
I just want to do a shout out to all the staff and administration that put all this work together. I'm sure it sometimes feels like we don't read it, but we do. So appreciate the updates. And yeah, move the motion.
Ditto, but I do need to have a correction on 13.1.8.
13.1.8.
I also left the room for 9.4. So you see, I did read it.
Yes, yeah.
And can I ask a question too about 13.1.7 about the cleaning tender? It just said a new request for tender will be issued in due course. Do we know when that will be?
Yeah. Through the chair, that is likely to be around November. The administration is currently reviewing the scope for that tender, noting that we've got the Eastern Corridor contract that's due to expire mid next year. So it may be prudent to consider also including that. So we have one cleaning tender with multiple separable portions. And if we do that, that will require a further report to come back to council to consider the scope. So that's the current status.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to the next one, which is 14, which we dealt with at the start of the meeting. Most motion. 15 is questions by members of which due notice has been given, of which there is none. 16, urgent business approved by the person presiding. I have nothing. 17, we have a couple of matters behind closed doors, so I will need to ask the public to leave the room. But thank you for your attendance. I look forward to seeing some of you here tomorrow night.
Yeah, come back tomorrow night.
All right, who's moving that? Councillor Pearl, I'm second, Councillor Nutt. And forgot to count myself. So moved, Gillon, second Bruce, yes, Jansen, time out, what was that? 76 seconds, 16. Yeah. Like, so, is that me?
No, I checked how many people were on the live stream.
All right. Okay, well, if that's it, then we'll call the meeting closed at 7:18 PM.
The next meeting.
The next meeting to be held on, do we have a date?
September
2024.
It's September 22nd.
22nd, isn't it?
Very good. Look at you guys.
Because I was trying to make sure I was back for it.
It will be a light agenda. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
There's a reason.